Well, everyone watching this channel known as the United Matters channel, how are you guys and where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rock and David. Guys, I'm sorry, it's supposed to be Newcastle and Man United, not oh my god, have I not saved it? Where is it? It's supposed to be Newcastle and Manchester United. Where is it? Where is it? Sorry about it, my mates. Let me see this. I think I'm gonna hate to save it badly, but welcome to this channel. I obviously get into this video that is really credible for this video, and smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rock and David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are. And smash the like button, comment and share, and let's continue to see that all really goes on well as planned onto this beautiful channel of ours. But I'm sorry for that, but I'm trying to rectify it in here and continue and do the needful to obviously follow us on all different platforms that we obviously come here to broadcast. And let's talk United, Newcastle. Big game happening at what we call the St. James's Park Stadium. That's where everything is going to be happening in there for you. And I think we've taken some time without winning a game at that side of St. James's Park. But I want to let you know it's really gonna happen very, 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 very soon, because we'll soon get back to winning ways, and when we get back to winning ways, nothing will obviously stop us from really getting to where we deserve to be. So Manchester United is taking on Newcastle, and Newcastle has a very big game ahead of them, and that is Manchester United. I know they're really ahead of us, but I cannot come out and really say that they can come and really have what we call an easy go, right? That they'll obviously gate. It will be like a walk in the park. It won't be a walk in the park, and Manchester United will obviously put up a show because they don't have pressure. I've already told you that every time United is playing without pressure, they'll play the best football possible. You understand? And I've evidenced it with Manchester United. And I went ahead obviously talk about it several occasions and several times that each and every time United is playing without pressure, they obviously play very, very well. And here we come onto this beautiful game of football of Manchester United versus the side of Newcastle, as we see what we think this game of football is really going to be like. When we go to the Premier League table, Newcastle is placed 7th. They've played 30 games and they have 2 games in hand, you know, because Man City has played 32, Aston Villa has played 32, meaning that if they win their 2 games they have in hand, they can have 59 points. That means they'll be 9 points. Sorry, they will be 4 points ahead of Man City. That is it. So that is exactly what they're really chasing at, and their chase is all about them going ahead to see to it that they obviously put in a very beautiful shift into the mix. So that is all about Newcastle as it really moves to where they deserve to be. And for Manchester United, they are placed 13th, 31 games played, they're having 38 points, and that means if they win tomorrow, we'll go to 41 points, you know, and we'll be left with just 6 games to play. And there is no way we survive, this being the worst season of Manchester United in our history. There is no way we are obviously going to be surviving that. So that's why I'm telling you that I'm not here to obviously blame anybody. That's why you rarely see me do what we call match reactions for these games of Manchester United, because I'm like, what exactly am I really doing? Because maybe for UEFA Europa League I'll react, but for these others I feel like it's not called for. Right? It's not called for, exactly, because you really look and ask, is it really worth it? Is it worth the squeeze? You know, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I'm like, I don't think it's worth that squeeze. So that's why I come in here and obviously tell you that we are going to be doing in transfers and other news. You know, that's what we're obviously going to be bringing you onto this channel of Rokan, of United Matters channel, as we wait for the season to come to an end. After the season comes to an end, then we'll obviously put in the required shift altogether into the mix. So that's exactly what you're really having in here onto the United Matters channel. And let's get into what we call the team news. And the team news reads as follows. Manchester United is not having Matthias de Ligt. He's really out. This is going to be a third game in a row that he's really missing, you know. Then the other player that is out of action, Lisandro Martinez, is really going to be out of action. That is it. The other one who is obviously going to be out of action, let me check here. For Manchester United, de Ligt, Matthias de Ligt. Lisandro Martinez is out. Johnny Evans is out with a muscle injury. Aiden Heaven is out with an ankle injury. Amadi Diallo back on the grass but is still recovering from the ankle injury. And Toby Collier is suffering from what we call a leg injury. Then when we go to Newcastle, Lewis Hall is sidelined. Steve Bootman and Jamal Lechelis they're also out. Then Joe Willock remains unavailable for the side of Newcastle, and even their manager is away, by the way. He has been admitted to hospital. That is Eddie Howe, and he's obviously not going to be making it in here. But the likes of Anthony Gordoni have went ahead to pass what we call a lead fitness test, and they're obviously going to be showing up for this encounter, plus Alexandra Isak, who has been out for the previous 2 matches. He's obviously going to be coming in through to put in a very huge shift in here for you. Alexandra Isak is really a deadly man, and I know most of you know him, that he's really taking the Premier League by storm, and all his stats that he has gone ahead to put up have made him one of the most wanted strikers in the world right about now. That is Alexandra Isak, and for whatever he's doing, I tell you, he's really doing the right thing. And he also said that if the team doesn't qualify for the Champions League, he will leave. If Newcastle qualifies for the Champions League, he won't go anywhere. So he went ahead and obviously set what we call a yardstick for him to obviously quit the club of Newcastle. But if they win tomorrow, they would have gone ahead obviously increase their chances to play in the Champions League. That is it. But all in all, we wait and see how that pans out. But remember, Newcastle are also the champions of the Carabao Cup. And for Manchester United, their game they played, in that game that Manchester United went ahead and obviously played, I think where over the weekend, Manchester United came up and really played against Man City. It ended in a goalless draw. Let me see. Newcastle came up and obviously featured prominently into that game, and they went ahead obviously see themselves. Newcastle beat Leicester City by 3-0. You understand? So they come into action when they're really having a better record than Manchester United, and I'm obviously going to be taking you through those records. But let's get into the probable starting 11 in there for you. Now, reports have obviously gone ahead, come out to indicate that Manchester United and the manager, who goes by the names of Ruben Amorim, are considering to obviously bench a player known as Andre Onana, and they're obviously gonna put him on the bench. You understand? And putting him on the bench will mean that Beindir is obviously gonna be in between the stitches. And I believe that when you weigh the 2 games that United is obviously gonna be playing tomorrow, all today, and on Thursday, which of those is the more hardest game that you would love to see that you bring in the best goalkeeper? I think that the game of Lyon is really very important. That's why I believe that if a change is to be made, it will be made when Man United is playing against Lyon at home, and maybe Atel Bendeyer will obviously come in through to represent. But this game, if I'm the manager, and I would love to obviously give Onana a reason not to play against Lyon on Thursday, what do? I obviously throw him out. I obviously give him this game such that he faces one of the dangerous attacks of Newcastle, Murphy, Isak, Gordon, and after him facing that, obviously, if he performs well, he keeps his position. And if he doesn't perform well, then you obviously get him out of the team. And I think that's what the manager is obviously going to be doing. And I believe that Andre Onana will be in between the stitches for the club of Manchester United. On the right side of the three-man central defense, I call in for the services of Victor Lindelof. He came on when you're playing against Lyon away, when they took off Harry Maguire, and he came into and really put in a very beautiful shift. Then, on the left side of the three-man central defense, people say Luke Shaw might obviously show up, but I believe it's going to be Mazarawi in there for you. Then at the center of the three-man central defense, I play Harry Maguire. So that is my back three that I believe the manager is obviously going to be choosing to take on the side of Newcastle. That is today or tomorrow, depending on where you're watching this video from. That is what I think the manager will obviously come up and really pick as his back four in there for you. Right wing back, it will call in for the services of Diego Dallo. That is it. And he's really improving and really playing very well. Left wing back will obviously call for the services of a player called Patrick Dogu. Patrick Dogu, as you see him there. It's going to be Patrick Dogu in action. Then, you talk about the double pivot. I think the manager will keep his double pivot of Manuel Ugarte and Casemiro. That is it. Then, if we go to the two number 10s, on the right of the number 10, I think Bruno Fernandes will come up and obviously play into that game. Though questions were like, would you obviously bench Bruno Fernandes because he's your most influential player and you'll need him as you take on the side known as Lyon? And the manager was like, he needs to be assessed by the team to see whether he's obviously ready to go for these minutes at the St. James's Park. Then the other number 10 I know is going to be Alejandro Garnacho. That is it. And obviously, Garnacho has to improve only on one thing, and that is his end product. Each and every time he reaches in the final third, what's his decision making, That's what he's supposed to obviously be looking on to see it obviously makes it better and better and better and better. Then leading the line is going to be Joshua Zirkzee, coming off the bench and scoring, and the best way to reward him is to start him. But remember, I think when you're playing against, was it Nottingham Forest, I remember he started and he looked like a joke. That is it. He looked like a joke completely. That is Joshua Zirkzee for you. And I think he's better. I think maybe coming off the bench, or if at all he starts as a number 10. But I believe with us playing against Lyon, and the manager knows that that game might obviously go into extra time, he has to bench Rasmus Højlund because he's the only striker he has, because Chido Obi Martin is not eligible to play into the UEFA Europa League, and that won't really do us well as a club of Manchester United. So that is the probable starting 11 for the club of Manchester United that I've gone ahead obviously think about. So feel free to tell me what your thoughts are about this, and then later you'll come up and obviously tell me what your thoughts are about this probable starting 11 for the club of Manchester United. When we go to Newcastle, their probable starting 11, it's obviously a 4-3-3. Pope in goal, Kylian Trippier, right back, then Livramento. I think Livramento will be played as a right back, then Trippier will be played as a left back, then Fabian Schär and Ban in the central defense, then Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali and Joelinton playing to the midfield 3, then Murphy, Barnes and Isak will obviously do the needful, and maybe what's the name of this guy? He's called Anthony Gordon. Passed the lead fitness test and might take part into the games that are really going to be played. So we'll wait and see what will happen onto this guy. But That's exactly what you're really having in here onto this channel known as the United Matters channel, and that is the Probable starting 11 for Newcastle. Before I bring you my prediction, let me obviously throw you into what the facts say about this fixture, as United has gone ahead to obviously play in here, and it hasn't obviously gone ahead to be a beautiful visiting ground for the club of Manchester United in the recent years. 1. Following their 2-0 win at Old Trafford in December, Newcastle are looking to complete their first league double over Manchester United since the 1930-31 campaign. So, Newcastle are looking to complete their first league double over Manchester United. And can they do it? We wait and see, because the game is going to be played tomorrow. Secondly, Man United have lost their last 2 away Premier League games against Newcastle, last losing 3 consecutive league visits to St. James's Park between 1969 and 1970. So, will this record also be broken, or a new one will be set? Thirdly, Newcastle have won 4 of their last 5 meetings with Manchester United in all competitions, with 1 loss, as many as they've had in their previous 41. 9 draws and 28 losses, meaning that in the previous past, they've obviously gone ahead to really improve. Fourthly, each of Newcastle's 8 victories over Manchester United in all competitions have been 2-0. They've won none of their last 34 when conceding against the Reds. 5 draws, 29 losses since a 4-3 Premier League victory in September 2001. Lastly, victory of Newcastle would make them the 4th team to do the Premier League double over Manchester United this season, the most different size to do in a single top flight campaign since 1957 to 1958. The game is gonna be airing onto your waves at exactly 18:30 hours, and with that, you know exactly what will be at stake for any of the teams that will be participating to this encounter of the Premier League. So that's Man United for you. They're going to be taking on Newcastle, and we are waiting to see how everything will pan out, because I've given you everything, and now it's up to you to really come up and obviously tell us what your thoughts are about this beautiful game of football. But who do you want in and who do you want out in that probable starting 11? And would you obviously advise the manager to obviously bench his most influential players like Dalo, Bruno Fernandes, Ugarte, maybe Mazarawi, Doku, Patrick? You understand? So I don't know what the manager will obviously be doing in there, but I tell you this, it's really coming to a time where a decision has to be literally made on whether we are considering the Premier League or the UEFA Europa League. But if I'm Ruben Amorim, I would really bench players. And players like Mason Mount, Kobe Mainoo, Luke Shaw, Lindelof, players like Chido Obi Martin, I would have gone ahead to give them a chance into this game of football and really see how they fare out in situations like this, because all I know is that our chance is to win the UEFA Europa League, and I've explained this 10 times about why we need to win the Champions League. Why do we need to win the Champions League? 1, because the Champions League has already... Why do we need to win the UEFA Europa League? Because it takes us to the Champions League. 2, the UEFA Europa League will see us really getting some more money when we win, and going to the Champions League, that means a lot of money, and we'll obviously have to compete with our competitors to get in players, because Champions League is the password. Us finishing 13th, 14th, 15th won't matter, provided we are into the Champions League, because that's what really calls up people to put in money. Adidas, our kit makers, will obviously give us that money. Very, 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 very sure about that. And Snapdragon will also get us that. Then these shirt sleeve sponsors, will also get us the same amount of money. and going to the Champions League will obviously give us money. And in these years, we should obviously find that our coefficient really gets back to where we want it to be as we prepare to play in the next edition of the FIFA Club World Cup. Not this one of this year, because I don't think that will obviously, we can't, because we are not even out there on the fixtures. The fixtures are already out. So all what we have to do is to see ourselves with performing well in such fixtures, and after performing well, then the rest will be history for us in here onto this channel. So let's pray that United goes ahead to obviously win the UEFA Europa League, because it opens a lot of doors, and I think it makes the job of Ruben Amorim easier. That's why I've already told you that Arsenal want to get the deal of Gyökeres done and dusted, because if they don't get it done and dusted and United wins the UEFA Europa League, straight up Amorim will tell him, please come here, you're going to be playing the Champions League, and his amount or his fee is in the same region like that Wolverhampton Wanderers want for a player called Matthias Cunha. Rock and David is my name. I sign out for now. See you later and good night.